it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Galaxy 2. We're doing some rock Mario things again in Freezy Flake Galaxy, which is a nice level. I didn't really talk about it at all in the last one, but it's a fairly straightforward first snow level. Always gotta have snow levels in games, and especially in Mario games. I think it's pretty impressive how there are not that many types of environments in most Mario games in terms of like the themes. I mean, most of them can come down to like, you know, like a mechanical type thing, like tick-tock clock. The generic sort of greenery and field sort of thing that usually is at the beginning. Water levels, of course, snow levels, fire, volcano-y levels, desert levels, in the air levels, stuff like that. And obviously, you know, actually, you know, going into the details of the different environments over the course of the many Mario games that there have been. There are plenty of differences, but, and plenty of variety altogether, but you know what I mean. But I was saying, I think it's impressive how relatively few kinds of environments there are, and yet, I think they usually keep it pretty fresh within the games and from game to game. I mean, for the sheer amount of it that there is, I know, you know, not every Mario game is a masterpiece, I don't think, but I think it's one of the most consistent game series ever in terms of the level, that like average level of quality of the games, especially within just the normal 2D and 3D more straightforward platformers like these, like the console platformers, but especially, but even just more generally other Mario games, because I think like the sports games and the kart games and the RPGs people generally seem to like, and I think the other ones are good too. So yeah, super unique and controversial opinion from me is that Mario games are good. Anyway, as always, we have a couple of things that I started to say in a previous video and then forgot to say, and had to remember in editing, and now will mention in this video. It's one of my favorite things that I do. And before I get into those, this is the boss. It's Sorbetti. I talked to the Luma because I was considering getting the 3 extra hit points, but this boss is really not very hard. And that's of course been the case for most of the bosses I've fought so far, and yet I've still managed to fuck them up, and I managed to get hit by that one time. But it's mostly pretty easy. It just kind of rolls around, doesn't really change up anything much, and it's just yet another boss of hitting the big red ouch zone, this one being its silly nose, and there you go, you can do it in like 20 seconds. Anyway, so some things that I started saying but didn't last time was, does anybody else feel like they need to, like, go back to square one with learning certain subjects? Like, you need to, like, read your middle school science textbook to, like, I don't know, sometimes when I find myself kind of going down a rabbit hole just reading about some topic for a little bit, as I often do, I'll start going... I have this thing, especially, like, with Wikipedia pages, like, links and whatnot, but just in general on the internet when I'm reading about something, where I'll just end up getting down to, like, the very elemental things when it's like a thing about science or history. Like, I'll start looking up something more specific, usually just something that I, heard mentioned in passing or wanted to know more about for whatever reason. And then it just gets into looking into, like, a very, like, increasingly granular information about something. And often when I find myself looking into stuff that has to do with, like, natural science and stuff, I find myself being like, I really just want, like, simple, plain English explanations of a lot of these things, because even on Wikipedia, when you're talking about, especially when you talk about stuff like chemistry and physics and astronomy and, pretty, like, complicated topics of, like, natural science and stuff, even on Wikipedia, it can be very, like, verbose and technical, and if you have to, if you don't already have a pretty good understanding of everything, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just really stupid, but I find that to be and I really just, and I know that Netflix, what the fuck, I know that Wikipedia has, like, a plain English, version, but for one thing, it's less informative. That's the thing. Like, I still want the information, but just dumbed down. Because there are things that I feel like, and I can't come up with any examples off the top of my head right now, but there are things that I feel like I understood better when I was younger because I got a more sort of streamlined explanation of it, and also was doing work involving it. I was doing, like, with a lot of science classes, when you learn a concept, you do math problems about the concept or centered around it. And I'm not gonna fucking do that now, but I guess I just wish I had retained it better. And it wasn't for lack of, paying attention. Like, I generally tried to do well in those classes and found them interesting. In, like, science classes and math classes, I was not. I will fully admit that I wasn't really trying my hardest all the time in my math classes growing up, especially in high school. I've never had a mathy brain, as I discussed last time. And I don't know if I started talking about this, but something that I meant to mention last time related to that was a project that I had to do in my high school geometry class. It was an art project. And first of all, art projects in math class, get the fuck out of here. I know that it's the kind of thing that is designed to make a person like me who is not really, attuned to math and doesn't like the monotony of the work very much, to get me to get more invested in it, because it's like, oh, look, instead of doing math the whole time, you're also cutting and pasting and coloring. Isn't that just dandy? But that does not help me that never helped me with those kinds of projects. If it was a subject I wasn't interested in or wasn't good at, I was probably gonna stay that way no matter what our artistic way you wanted to approach me learning about it. But we were learning about complex shapes, and so we had to, like, make out of paper a complex shape, and we were assigned a complex shape, something with more than 10 sides, and I think I got the one that has, like, 17 sides, and I don't remember what it's called. It's a something hedron, but, and there was a worksheet. It came with all of these instructions of what to color, all the different labeled sides, but the more, like, not fun part was having to, you cut it out, and then you'd have to fold it, and you had these little tabs, and you'd have to glue them together, and it would all come together into a 3D shape. And I was instructed by the teacher to just use regular glue, which I did, and it would not stay together, and the, like, little tabs you had to fold to make the parts that you would come together and they would kiss, and you know, that would be how you make the sides meet. Also, yeah, I backtracked and got this Comet Medal because I didn't get it the last time, so there's that. That's that galaxy squared away, so that's nice. Also, the chimp. I had a chimp thing. Told you that he would be back, and he'll be back more, with more irritating missions. His first couple aren't all that bad. Anyway, I used, like, a hot glue gun. Well, no, then I used rubber cement, and that worked for most of it. It was a little bit janky looking. And then there were, like, I was almost done, but there were, like, 2 or 3 sides that needed to be joined. And this is, of course, the day before it was due, because they gave me a couple of weeks, but I didn't fucking think about it, because it's an art project for the class I'm already doing the worst in, so I was not thinking about it, and I'm not a good student, I suppose, or wasn't in my, whatever that was, sophomore year of high school, something like that. Anyway, so, there were a couple sides that needed to be joined, and I couldn't glue them because of the angle that they were at. Like, I couldn't get glue on there and put them together. I couldn't figure out. I would have to, like, go inside of this hedron, of this shit-fuck-a-hedron, or whatever it was called, to get it to where I couldn't figure it out, and I had family members helping me that also couldn't do it. So, as a potential workaround to this problem, this is why you don't try to do fancy-ass jumps like I do. Because, or when you're me, don't try to do anything, don't do any fancy tricks in Mario unless you actually are good at video games and know what the fuck you're doing, unlike me. My sister got a hot glue gun, and it really was looking rough, barely stayed together, and I knew, looking at it, that it was not going to stay together the entire time through to tomorrow. Like, it's not going to make the journey from my house to the classroom halfway through the day at school. And I was right. I transported it to school very carefully, but just in the course of the day, it basically, a lot of the glued parts came apart, and it looked like shit, and I knew that I was going to fail this project because a huge portion of the grade was how well you followed the structural integrity of your shape. And so anticipating an F, I wrote a note. I mostly just did it to be funny, because I knew that the teacher, like, she knew me at that point, and she was, you know, had a goofy side, and that I was trying to appeal to. And I wrote her a note apologizing, saying, like, I know that this looks like garbage. I really and basically just explaining what happened and my process, and also, like, kind of shitting on the project, like being like, by the way, this did not help me understand what we're learning about complex shapes more at all. And ultimately was just like a big source of stress for this was supposed to be like the easy grade in the class to save all of the dumbasses like me, the artsy types, but I can't even do that shit. So, or at least not that kind of like making a 3D shape with paper and glue, like. I know it's possible, but, like, it's just so fucking tedious, and again, I learned nothing about the shape. I mean, in terms of where each side went, that was all just on the worksheet. It was basically just a matter of following directions, but, which is also the case with math, but, anyway. Long story short, I sent her this letter, and then the next day she pulled me aside and said that she really liked my letter and gave me a 100 on the project because she was like, this was supposed to be an easy grade, and I guess I didn't do bad on the quiz we had about that subject, so she was like, I know that you understand this shit, and it was supposed to just be like an easy grade, busy work type deal, and you gave your best shot, and it didn't really come together for reasons that you explained and weren't entirely your fault, and I'm not gonna hold it against you. And also the letter made me laugh, so that is a bonus. So I'm just gonna give you the credit, and now you have a nice little boost to your grade. So yeah, terrible project, at least for someone like me, but cool teacher that she would do. I was stunned. I was like, wow. And I could have really learned the wrong lesson from it, where it's like, you don't even have to succeed at your tasks. You can just try really hard, but you still suck at it, and then you just apologize in a really entertaining way, and then it'll be okay. But I did not internalize that, which is probably a good thing. But it's pretty funny. There was a time where I would really get in my bag about schoolwork. Sometimes schoolwork is tough for a kid. Most of the time I didn't find it all that hard, though, especially when I was younger. Like, I didn't have problems with math when I was, like, a child. It was mostly more into end of middle school and into high school. I love sucking up all those star bits. That was so cool. And I like these things too that like eat away the floor. I think it's nice. I like the sound they make. It's very munchy, crunchy. I like it. It makes me want to eat some fucking carpet. They make it look pretty tasty. It's like lava in real life. Have you ever seen, like, when it's all gray and goopy, and then they like cut it open, and all the juicy magma, like, orangeness comes out? It looks like yummy. I don't know why. If lava is so dangerous and you're not supposed to touch it, why did they make it look like something I want to eat and chew on? It just looks nice. But I don't think I would advise eating lava. It's probably not a good idea. But yeah, despite that about the work, schoolwork sometimes being overwhelming, I kind of find myself being nostalgic for that, for elementary and middle schoolwork, like spelling tests. Oh man, I kicked ass at those, and spelling homework, that was always my stronger suit. And I would love to do that. I would love if that's what I got paid to do, like, for a job, is that I stay home and I I just have like 50 words that I have to spell 3 times each. I would do that. Sounds easy. Some other stuff was dumb. But yeah, even like worksheets and shit like that, like sometimes we'll just think about like notebooks I had or workbooks I had back in the day and be like, oh, that's nice. Obviously, like with all things, it's just an extension of my feelings about that point in life, which is usually pretty good for most people if you have a relatively comfortable and trauma-free childhood, which I was lucky enough to have. And even if you don't, I mean, I think even people who had like compared to me, pretty shitty childhoods, including people I know who did, I think they still feel a level of warmth and you know, nostalgia, for lack of a better term, for earlier, you know, their childhood time in life, because, you know, when they think of certain things that they watched or did, or, you know, friends they had, or stuff that was going on, or whatever. Anyway. So this is Rolling Masterpiece. I really don't enjoy these. I don't really like stuff that makes a lot of use of the Wiimote motion stuff, like, you know, doing the flying, and this, you have to hold the thing up. It's not that bad, and this is a lot more like intuitive and works better than the flying, in my opinion, but it can still be a little bit wacky. You can still come close. But yeah, coming up here is the, it's hard to get all the star bits too, because you have to point your thing at the screen to do that, and, you know, that's gonna make Mario shoot forward, and you don't always want that to happen when you're on precarious ground. But yeah, after I get the fucking... I could have gotten that coin question mark thing, but I just wanted to get this Comet Medal and then get the hell out. I'm glad that they made this one an extra level that you don't necessarily have to do. I mean, unless you want to beat the game. But you have to do all the levels then. Ain't that a shame? Are there any games that have levels where they operate like a totally normal level and everything, but they just don't count to your completion? Like, you don't have to do them, but they're there? I'm sure there are. I can't think of any examples, though. And I don't just mean, like, normal extra stuff. You know what I mean? Like, stuff that you get because you do 100% completion. I mean, like... You know what I mean. I just said it. It's stupid. I mean, I think it would be a dumb thing to have in a game, but... But yeah, I hope everyone's having a nice Friday. I had a really nice, there's a halal food truck right outside my apartment now, so I went and got some of that, and it's very tasty. I love the food from there, because it's a lot of food for really cheap, and it's really good. And I love being a regular at that place. Anyway, next time we'll see what this Luma has to offer. See you then.